Om Shri Sai Ram. I offer my most humble pranams at the lotus feet of our beloved Bhagawan. Respected elders, brothers and sisters, hearty welcome to today's Samarpan program. Samarpan is the gathering where Bhagawan devotees share their experiences that love the Swami bestows on them. The session at the end of which we feel elevated, immersed in Swami's love and feel re-energized. We are lucky to have today a guest speaker, Dr. Neelam Desai. She hails from Mumbai. Highlighting her qualifications, she did her MBBS in 1985 from Topiwala National Medical College, Mumbai University. Post-graduation in General Surgery in 1989 from Topiwala National Medical College, Mumbai University. She went ahead and did a further post-graduation in Cardiovascular Thoracic Surgery in 1992 from Lokmanya Tilak Municipal Medical College, Mumbai. She is also a diplomat of the National Board in Cardiothoracic Surgery, New Delhi. Dr. Desai joined Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Medical Sciences, Prasanthigram on 1st February 1993. Since then, she has been in this institute till date. She is designated as Senior Consultant and Head of Cardiothoracic and Vascular Surgery Department. She performed more than 8,000 cardiothoracic and vascular surgeries, covering neonate, pediatrics to adults of all types. She also assisted in more than 3,000 cardiothoracic and vascular surgeries. She has made 41 publications in national and international journals. Adding more, she is DNB teacher, a guide and a co-guide to 13 students. She has 6 students undergoing training under her in Cardiothoracic Surgery and Vascular Surgery in Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Medical Sciences, Prasanthigram. Dr. Neelam Desai has been for more than 29 years rendering service in the Swami's hospital. She came under Swami's fold since childhood, being Balvika's student, then moving to become Balvika's guru, pre-Sevadal and Balvika's convener before she joined hospital. I now request Dr. Neelam Desai to share her experiences with Bhagawan. Sai Ram.
Om Shri Sai Ram. I offer my humble and loving pranams to the primordial Lord Ganesha and my most beloved Bhagawan, Shri Sathya Sai Baba. At the outset, I would like to thank the organizers of Samarpan for inviting me to this program. I understand you all have been doing this satsang and also a lot of other seva activities, which is commendable, as we all know that we are going through bad times, and these activities keep us going and give us inspiration to face the challenging times. Speaking of personal experiences in a spiritual journey, is a difficult task. I will, however, try to share his love that I have experienced, and I pray to Bhagawan to allow me to be his humble instrument, an instrument of his love. I would like to divide my talk into two parts, like before when I came to Puttaparthi and my journey after I came to Parthi. On 1st February 2023, I shall be completing 30 years of association of my magnificent hospital, Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Medical Sciences, Prasanthigram. I feel proud and privileged to have been a part of our institute founded by Bhagawan on 22nd November 1991. This super speciality hospital at Prasanthigram, also known as Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Medical Sciences, has been doing the yeoman service to suffering humanity past 30 years, more than 30 years. 29 and a half years ago, I had left Mumbai to come to Puttaparthi, not knowing where I was heading for. On the professional front, I was only a qualified cardiac surgeon with no practical experience. I was a young and fresh lady cardiac surgeon who had been called by Bhagawan to work in his hospital, and I was going there. From a novice to a well-accomplished cardiac surgeon capable of doing all kinds of cardiac surgery is a journey scripted by Bhagawan and made possible only by Bhagawan. I would like to share my experience with my beloved Mother Sai in a humble way. For a lady to be a surgeon and then to become a cardiac surgeon, it is tough as it's a male-dominated world. When I was studying for cardiac surgery, I had a female colleague who was also pursuing cardiac surgery. One day she said, in our field to survive, mind you, she said the word survive, we need a godfather. Least did I realize that a day will come when I would have not a godfather or a godmother, but verily God himself as my mentor, friend, philosopher and guide. I feel Swami had chalked out my path from childhood onwards. Bhagawan took me into his fold at a very tender age of 10 years. My mother was to undergo brain surgery. So night before her admission to hospital, she showed me a Shirdi Baba photo and which was kept in our room and told me that from today onwards, he is your mother. In fact, he is going to be your mother, father, everything. He is going to look after you. I am only your physical mother. Thus, my mother had handed me over to Bhagawan at a very young age. Because also of my mother, I chose to be a doctor. And of course, I liked the field a lot. I ended up taking surgery because unlike medicine, when we had a medical posting, I saw on rounds my professors and my seniors discussing for hours together on a case of a patient who had paralysis. They went on discussing the possibilities, the pros and cons, and finally when they ended up giving him only a half tablet of aspirin, and I was quite disappointed. Unlike that, when I went to my surgical posting, I found that when a patient of appendicitis arrived in the emergency, within half an hour he was wheeled into the operation theatre and his diseased appendix was removed, and within 2 days he had gone home cured. So the decision was taken by me. I am going to take up surgery because the reward was very encouraging to me to see a patient getting cured and going home. So when I finished my general surgery, I again wanted to specialize further. I had always liked cardiac surgery, but I was afraid that whether as a female I could endure that field physically or not. So I put my choice of super specialization as pediatric surgery, as I thought that cardiac surgery is tough for females. But it was not to be as destined by Bhagawan. I had to appear for the entrance exam, and in the super specialty entrance exam, I had scored 33rd rank. And now, one person before me, that is the 32nd person, he decided to go to court, and there was a stay order. And I straight away got 9 months to go and see cardiac surgery, which was happening in my hospital itself. I decided after seeing that cardiac surgery is not difficult, but I have already put my first choice in the application form as pediatric surgery. Of course, I had put my second choice still as cardiac surgery. Now, after my specialization, I had applied at varied places. I had applied for lecturer's post in Bandra Baba Hospital in Mumbai. I had applied for FRCS. I had applied for super specialty. Now comes my interview for super specialty thing, and I have to make a choice as I've already got 3 options. So, however, I decide to go for the super specialty interview as it has come first. Decision making was difficult, but however, I decided to go for the interview. As I was waiting for my turn, my eyes fell on the poster outside the Dean's office of KM Hospital, which read that whenever there is turbulence, there is progress. This sentence kind of clinched for me the issue, and I firmly resolved that I must go ahead with the super specialty interview. When I went in, can you imagine? I was told by the panelists sitting there that, listen, doctor, there is no vacancy for my first choice, which was pediatric surgery, and that if I was interested, I could take my second choice, the cardiac surgery. And you can imagine my joy, because this is exactly what I wanted. So the seed sown by my mom at a very tender age came to fruition, and I became a cardiac surgeon. The impressions which are made in childhood, they say, go a long way. Karl Marx had said, give me a child at the age of 6 and I shall make him a communist. Our Bhagawan also starts Bal Vikas classes at a very tender age of 6 years. My mother taught me a few lovely things which I feel I must share with you. She always said that you are liked not because you are so and so, but you are liked because of your work. And you will be recognized also by your work. So my grandfather would say for my mom that even if you bury her, she will get up and start working. I think it's a great compliment from a father-in-law. Thus the importance of work was sown in childhood itself at a very young age, and how this work should be converted into worship was shown by Bhagawan. What happened is, in my childhood, around the age of 10 years, we shifted to a new residence in Mumbai. In this new residence, in this colony, the Bal Vikas classes were going on. So that is how I and my brother ended up going to the Bal Vikas classes. And that's how we came into the fold of Bhagawan. So I did my Bal Vikas, I did pre-Sevadil, and I went on to become a Bal Vikas guru and Bal Vikas convener. And I got the opportunity to come close to Bhagawan on several occasions. But it was not until 1993, when I joined the hospital, that did I get the chance and opportunity to interact with Bhagawan. Because as they say, till then the time had not yet come. There was an occasion when even I was invited for dinner at the residential grounds of Bhagawan in Dharmakshetra. We being the active workers, we also got the Pad Namaskar from Bhagawan. However, there was no interaction. There was a time when pre-Sevadil certificates were being distributed by Bhagawan on one of the Bhagawan's visit to Mumbai. And as luck would have it, I could not go to receive personally the certificate from the hands of our beloved Bhagawan. So we see the time had not arrived yet. Also, I was asked to give a speech in front of Bhagawan during one of his visits to Mumbai. And I was too shy to take up this godsend opportunity, and I missed that opportunity. So this is how my pre-Parthi days, and then how I happened to join the hospital is also a little dramatic, and one can see the underlying hand of Bhagawan. When I was studying in the second year of my cardiac surgery, there was a chest and cardiac NICER cardiology conference in Delhi. So my second in command boss, like the senior person and myself, we went to attend this conference. From conference, we went to All India Institute to meet Professor Dr. Venugopal. I hope all of you know who is Dr. Venugopal. He is one of the most eminent cardiac surgeon of India, and he is the one who started the cardiac surgery at our institute in Puttaparthi. So we went to meet Dr. Venugopal, as he was also the friend of my boss. Now I had the habit of wearing this Shirdi Baba ring, on my finger. So this was noticed by Dr. Venugopal. So seeing that, he said, "Oh, so you are Sai Baba devotee." Now my boss knew that I believed also in Bhagawan, Sathya Sai Baba. So he immediately told Dr. Venugopal, "Oh, she is your Baba devotee also." To which there was a sparkle in his eye, and he said, "Don't you know that Bhagawan has started a hospital, and there is the inauguration of the hospital in the next month?" This was October 1991 that I had been for that conference, and in November 1991 there was the inauguration of our Parthi hospital. But again, as luck would have it, I said, "Yes, definitely I would like to join." And he said, "Okay, so you come from Bombay, we are coming from Delhi, we'll pick you up from Bangalore and we shall go for the inauguration." But as I was not destined to come for it once again, because the time had not come, there was a heavy storm, and all the flights were getting diverted to Madras. I still remember ringing up Dr. Venugopal from the airport and telling him that, "Sir, I don't think I'll be able to come for the inauguration, but definitely I'll come and see the hospital little later." Till today I regret as to why I had to miss the opportunity of this inauguration. But as usual, the time had not come yet to meet the Divine Master, correct? So I came to the hospital in the month of May 1992, and I worked here for 13 days. Now the hospital had just started somewhere in November. So what used to happen, there were no regular cardiac surgeons yet employed. The AIMS team from Delhi, AIMS team is the All India Institute of Medical Sciences team, under the head, under the chief, Dr. Venugopal, would come, and they would operate for a week or 10 days, and then they would go again, and there would be a lull period, and then again they would come back. So when I had come here in the month of May, the entire team was here, and we kind of worked day and night, and I did not get to see the broad daylight, neither did I get to see Bhagawan, and we just kept on working. So on my return, on my return back to Mumbai, I was convinced that I was not going to join this hospital. Of course, it was not the work, I think, which troubled me. I don't know, just I felt I am not going to join this hospital. However, my mother, when I returned to Bombay, she said, "Please apply for the hospital and see what happens." So I applied for the hospital, and in the month of November, I get a phone call from Mr. Rajiv Mahajan. Again, Mr. Rajiv Mahajan he played a very instrumental role in the start of our hospital and in the start of our CTVS department. He gave me a phone call saying that you have to come to Puttaparthi for the interview which has been organized. Now, once again, there had been always small hurdles in my way. So this time there had recently been some riots in Mumbai, and my father was again not willing to, send me alone. So also that time period there were no flights. So Rajiv sir anyway told us, "You book the flight. There is one flight which is going to take off tomorrow." Previous 5 days there had been no flight. So he said, "Just take off you book your tickets and you see what happens. You go to the airport and you see." So we decided, we booked the tickets, and he said, "You bring your father also along." And so we reached the airport, and when I reached the airport and went to the counter, I could see that the previous 5 days passengers were being accommodated, and I saw that I stood no chance at all to come to Parthi. However, I approached the officer and I told him that I had to reach Puttaparthi as there was an interview which I had to attend. So he told me to check at 8 a.m. when the new officer would come and start the day's duty. So I promptly went at 8 a.m. and explained my predicament to the officer, and he immediately told me, "Get your tickets," as he was okaying my departure. I at once told him that I was not alone and that my father also had to accompany me. So he said, "Get your dad's tickets too." And lo and behold, we were on our way to Puttaparthi by 10:30 a.m. flight. Now at the Bangalore airport, we were received by Mahajan sir, and then 2 more doctors from Delhi had joined. One was a cardiologist and one anesthetist, and we were on our way to Puttaparthi. So when we reached Parthi, Mr. Mahajan told us that we will go for darshan next day, and he started waving from the veranda, we should get up from our places and join him. Now it so happened that even as a Bal Vikas student and a guru, in fact, as a Bal Vikas convener, I had come to attend one of the world conferences here in the capacity of a zonal convener. But I had always seen Bhagawan from, I would say, from outside the Kulwant Hall. I have heard his discourses sitting outside under a tree from outside Purnachandra Auditorium. When his car would go, we would just run around and see him and get a glimpse of the orange robe. It had never occurred to us to go for regular darshans and things like that. So I was an absolute novice in this affair. So I said, what is he talking about? But anyway, we went for darshan, and then we saw that he had started waving out to us, Rajiv. So I got up and I went, and he took us to a room. And imagine, when I realized that when the doors opened, it was Bhagawan Sri Sathya Sai Baba was seated in front, and it was the interview with Bhagawan. So all the time I had been thinking that my interview was with the director of the hospital. So this was like a big, for the first time I was faced with in front of Bhagawan, and the first interview I had with Bhagawan was where he asked me to join the hospital. Then as soon as we reached the room, interview room, he materialized a watch, and he corrected, he made the time, he put it at 7, it was 7 a.m. in the morning. So he said correct time, he said, trying to say something. Then he showed me the watch. Then he said, do you know what does this stand for? So being a Bal Vikas student and a guru, I was very happy to tell him that what did the word watch stand for, I'm sure all of you know, but I wouldn't mind repeating it. Watch your words, watch your actions, watch your thoughts, watch your character, and watch your heart. So I very promptly replied to Bhagawan, and Bhagawan was overjoyed. And then Bhagawan asked me to join the hospital, and I said, Bhagawan, I can only come because I was pursuing my 3rd year in cardiac surgery, which would only get over in the month of January. So I said, Bhagawan, the earliest I can join is 1st of February 1993. And Bhagawan said, yeah, so be it. Bhagawan promised all the 3 doctors that he would give us a car. Now, this was a big dilemma for me because I didn't know driving. So the first agenda on my mind was, when I returned back to Mumbai, was I must learn driving, because I must know how to drive the car given by Swami to me. So anyway, that apart. Now, I would just like to say that I joined on the 1st of February 1993. Within just a few days of my joining, can you believe, the first international conference was organized by Bhagawan, International Symposia on Cardiovascular Diseases, from 5th to 7th February 1993. And all the top notches cardiologists and the cardiac surgeons and the interventional specialists and all had come over to join this conference. And it was a sight to behold, that in a small village of Puttaparthi, you could see the stalwarts coming and discussing the affairs of cardiology and cardiac surgery. So not only this, in a span of 3 years, Bhagawan had organized 3 international symposia, and for the second international conference, in fact, I was asked to give the valedictory address also. I was very apprehensive, as I had never spoken before, and now this time, for the first time, I was going to speak in front of Bhagawan also. So I went again that day for the darshan, and I was seated because I wanted blessings from Bhagawan. But as usual, Bhagawan just did not look at me, and he went away. So then also when I had joined in the last year, because I joined in February, this conference was in February 94. And when I joined last year, I was very apprehensive about my career and work and whether I had made the right decision. But within a year of working, all the fears, they were proved false, because of the such a variety of cases and quality of work I saw that I would not have seen or done anywhere else. So it is truly said, that the mark of ignorance is the depth of your belief in injustice and tragedy. What is the injustice and tragedy? What the caterpillar calls the end of the world, the master calls it a butterfly. For caterpillar is the end of the world, but for master it's a butterfly. Such a beautiful thing. Now in the valedictory address, I had said one of the Swami's verse which was very, dear to me. So I would like to repeat that. In that I had said, the bird with you, the wing with me, the foot with you, the way with me, the world with you, the heaven with me. So are we free and so are we bound. So we begin and so we end, you in me and I in you. Now, to my joy, at the end of the conference, I heard Bhagawan mentioning my name in his speech, which was an indirect proof of his approval and recognition that he had liked my speech, even though he had ignored me in the darshan lines. Now, coming back to the professional front, within 3 months of my joining, somewhere around month of May, the only cardiac surgeon who was there from All India Institute, he went away. And I was all alone in the cardiac surgery department. Now, in my student days, I had done few closed heart surgeries and a barely countable open heart surgeries. I knew I had to tell Bhagawan that maximum I could do was closed cases. So, next day in the darshan line, I was sitting with Akshat. I wanted Bhagawan's blessing so badly. So, Swami came and Swami saw me from far. He came and he took the Akshat and showering on me, he said, start doing closed heart surgeries. These are his words. He says, start doing closed heart surgeries. So I took his blessings and I started doing 3 to 4 closed heart surgeries daily. This went on till the month of August. By now I was confident to do simple open heart surgeries, and Swami had gone to Brindavan, Bangalore that time. So I went there to get his blessings. Now I very, very distinctly remember the date. It was the 15th of August and I was seated in Brindavan Sai Ramesh Hall. Swami saw me from far and came towards me. He threw some chocolates on me and said, start doing open heart surgeries. Now I had gone to seek his blessings for open heart surgeries. Who has told Bhagawan? But on his own, he threw the chocolate on me and he said, start doing open heart surgeries. So then again a few months went by and the new senior cardiac surgeon joined. Now one of my sisters told us that when the hospital was to start and when the cardiac surgery department was to start and there were 2 operation theatres, Bhagawan said, in one operation theatre, one lady will operate and in another operation theatre, one male will operate. So this is exactly what was happening. Soon after he joined, this cardiac surgeon would manage one theatre where he would be doing little complicated cases, and in the other theatre I would be operating 2 to 3 simple cases. So Bhagawan's words very much came true, where one theatre was manned by a lady and the other was manned by a male surgeon. So soon, but now he also left. This surgeon also left with less than a year. And then again enters Dr. Venugopal. Dr. Venugopal came and told me, you have to do bypass cases. Bypass cases are a little more complicated cases in our field, and I was not yet ready for them. So to which I said, sir, I am not confident. So he said, if I don't start doing bypass cases, he'll pack me back to Bombay. So these are his words, but I was very much clear in my mind that I needed training for this. So I think Bhagawan realized, and soon I was sent to All India Institute for bypass training, again under tutelage of Dr. Venugopal for 1 month. Then my stay was extended to learn pediatric cardiac surgery under Dr. Krishna Iyer, and thus at the end of 2 months I returned back to Parthi. In my entire stay, I had not operated, and I had not operated on a single patient. I was apprehensive of this, and I wanted to convey to Bhagawan that he cannot expect me to start operating, because from day one, as I had not done any operation. So when I conveyed this to Bhagawan, Bhagawan replied to this that for you seeing is enough. And verily, with his grace, because after all he is only going to perform the surgeries. No, I'm only his instrument. So he said, for you seeing is enough. And very soon I started doing all the cases I had seen at All India Institute. Now I had a desire to do pediatric and neonatal, very small babies, surgeries. So I decided to go for a fellowship program in Boston Children's Hospital of USA. Now I wanted to get Bhagawan's blessings for this. So once again Bhagawan was in Brindavan, and when I went there, I very distinctly remember it was the evening time and the bhajans were going on, and it was the last bhajan. I entered the Sai Ramesh hall to be seated, and I saw that Bhagawan had spotted me. And normally the trend is that after the bhajans are over, Bhagawan will take Aarti and go away. But this time I saw that Bhagawan, having spotted me after Aarti, he climbed down the stairs and he came down to me. And then he said, "M. Samacharam, what is it that brings you here?" So I said, "Swami, I have to apply for this fellowship program and go to America for this." So he said, "Okay, I'll talk to you." And he next day called me for interview. In the interview, he was very happy, and he was he was very joyously telling the other few people whom he had called also, "She is my cardiac surgeon, she does 4 to 5 cases in a day, and I'm sending her to America. Neelam Desai is going to America." So I said, "Wow, this is great," because he has given his permission. So then I had to clear the USMLE exams, I cannot just enter America like that. So I took Bhagawan's permission and I appeared for the USMLE Part 1 and I cleared the exams. Now was the time to take the exam for USMLE Part 2. So I was, the date had already come for that from the US. So some few days were left for the USMLE Part 2 exam. So I was sitting in the darshan lines and waiting for Bhagawan to tell me, give me his blessings that yes, you can go. Because I had decided I won't go unless he gives me his blessings. So every day is passing by, he is just coming by and walking away, coming by and walking away. And then the last day arrives, that's the day of my exam. The exams are going to start around 11ish. So I had decided even I'll take quickly darshan. Those days Swami used to come early, 6:30, 7 like. So I said I'll take Swami's blessings and I'll rush and give the exam. But as it would be, Bhagawan comes for darshan, does not even look at me and just walks by straight. And I am all heartbroken. Because now without his blessings, I am not going to go for the exam. So I do not go for the USMLE Part 2 exam, and I am very, very upset. I am very sour in my, I am very unhappy. And I cannot understand why Bhagawan has behaved in this fashion. And as it would be, Bhagawan had cut off. So every day I would still go for darshan, but Swami has decided not to look at me, and I am also very upset with Bhagawan. So this went on for a while. Then my mother intervened. My mother said, don't you understand, Swami is God? Can't you understand that what he is doing, there must be a good reason for it? Write a letter of apology to Bhagawan and tell him you're sorry for whatever you have been upset about and all that. So I listened to my mom and I wrote a letter of apology to Bhagawan, and as I was sitting in the darshan line, he came immediately, took my letter and gave me a very sweet smile. And this was all happening in the year 2000. And in the year 2001, the wisdom of what Bhagawan did dawned upon me, because in 2001, the Bangalore hospital came up, where I and the other surgeon, we were in this department in Puttaparthi, Dr. Shekhar Rao. He was transferred to Bangalore hospital. And once again, the whole onus of running the cardiac surgery department, the whole thing fell on my shoulders, because I was all alone again. Had I been to USA, there would be no cardiac surgeon left in this hospital. So that time it occurred to me that yes, there was a very good reason for which Bhagawan had not sent me. And within a span of few months to a few years, I started doing all the kinds of cases for which I would have gone for fellowship training. So Bhagawan ensured that on the professional front also, he did not put me down at anything. So I feel my growth, my journey of becoming what I am today, I give the full onus and the full this thing to Bhagawan, that without him I wouldn't be what I am today. I don't remember anybody holding my hand and teaching me how I should operate. I feel it's been always Bhagawan and Bhagawan alone who would come in the darshan line and ask me how many operations today. Then I would see he would go a little ahead, and as he's finished the rounds on the gents side and as he's climbing up, he would be waving his hand. I could see his glimpse, his glance, on my side. Probably he was, training me up in this field in his own style. So it was always Bhagawan at every step who was like, guiding me and guarding me and teaching me cardiac surgery. So this is Bhagawan. Now, so that's Bhagawan. He guided me slowly and surely in my professional life. It is like, it's wisely said by somebody that when one is lying down, one has to learn to sit and then he has to get up to walk before he starts running, right? So meaning to accomplish anything in life, you have to take time, and there is a definite process about it. Now, so, and again, Bhagawan never imposed upon me anything like, when I came to Parthi, he asked after a few months of my arrival, do you want to be here? Do you want to work here? Do you want to stay here? And then only the slow and the steady progress began, And after coming here, Bhagawan, Baba's, the omniscience, omnipresence and omnipotence, the divinity of Bhagawan it started getting revealed to me and my family only after we came here. So this is again a different kind of a journey where after coming to Parthi, before coming to Parthi, we were going to Balvika's classes, this, that, but we cannot comprehend Bhagawan. Even after coming to Parthi, you cannot comprehend Bhagawan, but you can see his varied manifestations of his service activities and so many other things. So, and his, as I said, omnipresence, omniscience and omnipotence. In the very first interview only, he had revealed to me that I will come here. I'll come here, my parents will come here, and my entire family will come here, which included my brother's family. Now, I thought my parents is okay because I am alone and they'll come to settle me here and then they will kind of either stay back or they may go back after settling me down. But my brother's family, I was very skeptical because my brother was doing his business in Bombay. He had 2 small children. I never thought of him getting uprooted from Bombay at all. But this, as Bhagawan had predicted, he totally bowled me over when in his very first visit he comes to Parthi and he ends up saying, Dad, can I just wind up my business and come off here? So that's how the words of Bhagawan again came true. Now the omniscience of Bhagawan, what to say, on our day-to-day interactions, once in the darshan line, Bhagawan comes and tells me the Akhand bhajans were getting nearer, closer. So he comes to me and says that would I sing for the bhajans? So I replied, Swami, I don't know how to sing and all. So he replied, क्यों? Theatre में तो गाता है, operation theatre में नहीं गाता है. So I said, Arey, how did he know? I had a habit of mumbling a line or two after the main surgery gets over. It's like, it's like, what would you call it, a release of stress phenomena or whatever. I'll just mumble a line which only at the most maximum my assistant can hear. It will be more going on in my mind or it will be a very soft humming So it would be a line or two only, not much. So I said, this is, too much. Bhagavan is revealing to me that he knows this much part also that I sing in the theatres, So then as regards his omnipotence, I can't forget how he cured my mother of a severe neck pain. Once my mother had severe neck pain, I could see that she cannot even lie down. This went on for 2-3 days, She had a severe neck pain. Now severe neck pain can be a sign of heart disease, it can be a sign of neurology problem and whatnot. But I was quite convinced it's not a heart disease. So anyway, again Bhagawan was in Brindavan that time. So we decided we have to take my mom to show to some neurologist in Bangalore. But before that we'll go and tell Swami about it. So we go to Brindavan and Thrice session is going on. And at the end of Thrice session, Bhagawan spots my dad and my brother, because ladies are anyway not allowed, and students. And so he calls my brother and my dad and he says, what is it? Has Neelam come? How many of you all have come? So that time they say that yes, we all come and Neelam wants to talk to you, Swami. And Swami immediately calls me. And that time I tell Swami, my mom is not feeling well. can you please give us the permission to go to a neurologist? Such a, this thing I could tell Swami only to cure her, no? But he says, okay, you call your mother. So then when my mother comes, my mother has been suffering past more than 3 days. So when my mother comes to the room, he calls us to the interview room. Swami just touches my mother at 3 points, 1, 2 and 3. And my mother is absolutely cured. In front of my eyes, her pain has gone, never to come back again. And then while doing that, he is saying, see, your mother is not suffering from heart problem. Huh? She is fine, don't worry. So I said, yes, Swami, I know, but I wanted you to give us the permission to go to a neurologist. So when the topmost neurologist is with us, see, this is how we get fooled, we believe more in science and other things than Bhagawan himself. So that is, I'm talking about myself. So then, as if and my mother was a very, very ardent devotee of Bhagawan, and she would not miss a single darshan of his. She always had the complaint that you all are working for Bhagawan. When my full family comes here, Bhagawan ends up giving my brother a job in the hospital as executive engineer. My dad is a chartered accountant, so he ends up giving my dad a job in the hospital in the accounts department. Then I'm working in the hospital, and then that leaves out my bhabhi, my brother's wife. So he sends her also for B.Ed to Anandpur, and he makes her as primary school teacher. So my mother always would feel everybody he has put at some job except her. But we would keep on telling her, Arey, you are looking after all of us, then only we all can go to work. But she would always have this complaint, no, I can't, I'm not doing any work for Bhagawan. Anyway, that apart, she would see to it that after making food and everything, she wouldn't miss a single darshan of Bhagawan. Afternoon time, she would rush to have his darshan. So now my mother had a habit of going for daily afternoon darshan, and invariably she would be late. So she would be practically running to be seated in the Sai Kulwant hall, So when the darshan time would start. So one day as she was going, she became breathless. And she sat in the darshan but was not comfortable. So after darshan, she went to sit in the token lines which would get formed for bhajans. She would have darshan, go for bhajans and then return back. So in those days there were those entry lines for entering the bhajan mandir, And she felt suddenly as if Bhagawan was guiding her to take vibhuti which was in her purse immediately. And some more instructions were given as to how often she should take vibhuti, with a glass of water, and for how many days. She was strictly told to not inform me. My dad had gone to Bombay that time. So she revealed to my dad on his arrival back, and after few days she told me also. Once Bhagawan gave her the permission to tell me. So Bhagawan also told her that if you tell Neelam, she will be worried and think that you have had a heart attack, and she will not be able to concentrate on her work. So you don't tell Neelam, I'll take care of you. So this is again, it shows that I will take care, you let her work. So this is again a classic example. If you are doing Swami's work, how he is taking care of you and your family. Now, as if this was not enough, my mother ends up fracturing her leg. One of the foot she fractures. So when she fractures her foot, my mother is put in a cast, a plaster cast, and has been told not to move around for more than 4 weeks. So within 2 weeks she has removed off the cast, and she said, I'm not going to wear this at all. I'm going to just apply Swami's vibhuti, and she somehow does that and she cures herself. Now to prove, Bhagawan, as you know, he keeps on testing you. So to prove that how deep is her faith in vibhuti, he fractures her other foot. So she ends up getting a fracture in her other foot. This time she doesn't go anywhere. She puts vibhuti only and she cures herself until the last day of her life. I've seen my mother up and about with no swelling of her feet and all, and she was absolutely fine. So this is the power of vibhuti, this is the power of Bhagawan. So this is about his omnipotence, where we all experienced. Again, Bhagawan's compassion is beyond measure. For my patient, one of my patient, he was a 5-year-old small baby. He's a blue baby, we call it. He was just weighing 8 kilos. His surgery had undergone first class, very nice, no problem. But what happens, he was a little malnourished kid because he's just weighing 8 kilos. There is a fluid, which keeps on coming from around his lungs, what we call pleural cavity. So this fluid is not stopping at all. So I go for darshan, I inform Bhagawan. Then in all his mercy, he materializes vibhuti, and you know the rest, like what will happen. The boy goes home cured, and now we have the habit of calling the patient after every 3 months for follow-up, what we call follow-up, to know that everything is fine or not. So what I see is, we have this lovely corridor, in our this thing. So I see from far that I see one familiar face of a small boy, and he is running full speed towards me. Now that is when as he comes near, I recognize this is the same 5-year-old kid, who could not even walk and who had to be carried by his mother all the time. And after undergoing treatment at Bhagawan's hospital, he was not only cured, he is absolutely normal and he is fine. So, such is the grace of Bhagawan. So when he gives, we say, sky is the limit. In Hindi we say, chappar faar ke deta hai. That is Bhagawan. He gives, absolutely. Now, similar such incidents where patients whom we thought were inoperable, we find very good anatomy in the theatre, which they become fit for surgery on the tables. Or those who needed more than one surgery, they will end up with just one surgery and they'll be cured. Like I have an example of one young female, she was 20 years old, she was married, she wanted to have children very badly. Now, she is again a blue baby. Now at a very young age of 5 years of her life, at a very prestigious institute in KM, she ends up, undergoing one surgery. But that was a small surgery. Now she has to undergo one definite surgery. And she has spent so many years. She should have undergone the surgery earlier. She neither has the money, and now her anatomy has become more bad. She has developed more problems. So actually I'm reluctant to take her up for surgery. But without surgery there is no other way out, So we decide to take her up for surgery, and lo and behold, when we open her up, we find everything is fine and we operate on her. And within 6 months we get the good news that she is carrying, and she ends up becoming a proud mother of two female children. Last year only her sister-in-law had come, and she showed me the photos of those 2 children who are now nearly going to college, and they are doing so well, and the patient herself is absolutely fine. So these are the kind of things, they give us a lot of joy. And cases we thought as gone cases, they're getting cured and going on home miraculously. It's like a classic example of, we treat but he cures. So this is what is happening. So when one comes into the fold of Bhagawan, we all know that our lives are transformed. The process of transformation begins, and there's a change which is brought about by Bhagawan in an individual. Now here, like not only the professional need of a individual finds fulfillment, but a person is transformed in other dimension also, where he or she wants to give back to the society in whatever small way or measure, So this is undoubtedly the experience of every individual who has come here and who comes in contact with our hospital, with Bhagawan. This is not only true for the professionals, this is true we find in terms of patients, I had done one patient who had undergone mitral valve replacement. This patient is so grateful to Bhagawan because he gets a new life, that if he becomes a Sevadal person. He comes every year as a Sevadal, to the extent that now he has become the chief Sevadal. He gets his 2 children enrolled in Bhagawan's educational institutes, gets them educated, and he has become an ardent devotee of Bhagawan, and he is just following all Bhagawan's principles. So we see this transformation in the patients themselves, least to talk about us. This is how Bhagawan is bringing about transformation in an individual. Now, Bhagawan has also been teaching during the years to do away from doership and to become an instrument. I always have this habit of telling Bhagawan that, Bhagawan, you are going to do the surgery, I am only an instrument. So now the time has come for Bhagawan to test me, right? So I remember doing one, again a small child it was. Now this story of this child is a little sad. He is the 3rd child of his mother. The mother has lost the husband and the 2 children, first 2 children. He is the only child of this mother. and this child has got a heart problem. And in my mind it's very clear that I have to see to it that this child goes home. So I do the surgery has gone off beautiful. Now that is the time when the vacation has set in. My brother's 2 children are coming home for vacation from the primary school, and that is the day my night duty starts with this patient, because every 2 hours I have to do suction in him, because he's bringing lot of lung secretions. So unless you clear that out, and he is on a ventilator, what we call the breathing machine, so unless you clear those secretions, his tube will get blocked and things like that. So this routine for me goes on a daily basis till my brother's children have to go back to school after a summer vacation of 1.5 to 2 months or whatever that was. And on the day they are returning back to school, this patient passes away. You can imagine my state of mind, and I am absolutely dejected. So that day night, Bhagawan comes in my dream, fills my hand with vibhuti, and he says, "You are my instrument, you are not the doer, just do your work. What is good or what is not good is leave it to me." So it's like we have to understand that what he does and what he doesn't do, we have to just be his instrument, right? So then we can deliver the goods better. So slowly he's been teaching me now to do away from doership and to become an instrument, and I am learning to be his good instrument. Slowly but surely I am going to be a better instrument. Now after physical departure, many people ask, do you still feel Swami's presence? I often wonder that yes, it's not easy, because we were also attached to Bhagavan's physical form, right? But now definitely we have started experiencing Swami more and more inwards, and we still get the answers to our questions in variety of ways. Before we would always rush to Bhagavan and ask him, hand him over a letter, or in darshan line try to seek answers. But now there are other ways by which he has come more closer to us. He has not gone anywhere, I think. He is with us, around us, he is about us, he's everywhere, guiding and guarding us. Now, we have in our hospital information system, in our what we call as the EHIS, we have a thought for the day of Swami. So I have the habit of clicking that daily, so the messages I get reveal to me that Swami is with me always by the message that will come across the screen that day. Like I'll be praying to Bhagavan that I've had a tough case, I need his blessings. The message on the screen will come, my blessings are with you, or wow, you did a good job today, or I'm proud of you, etc. Something like that. There will also be messages correcting me also. It's not always rosy message. There will be messages correcting me. Don't get angry. Swami doesn't like this. So these are the things which are telling me he is watching you, And if I leave Puttaparthi to go some other place, out of station, messages like I will protect you wherever you go will come across, again assuring us of his divine presence. So I feel that, Bhagavan has given all these years, Swami has given us so much. It's time to return back to Swami in whatever small way we can, by work and by practicing his values. Long ago I had asked Swami, would I serve him always? And he had reassured me that by patting my hand that I will work for him always. With that conviction and faith, I pray to Bhagavan that, to keep me at his lotus feet, serving him in the hospital. Now, I had the habit, every 1st of February of the year, I had the habit of handing over a letter to Bhagavan, a thank you letter. That Bhagavan, thank you for allowing me to do this, do that, because that was the day I had joined the hospital, right? 1st of February. So now 4 years are over and I am sitting in darshan line. And again I am waiting to hand over the letter to Bhagavan. So Bhagavan comes and Bhagavan takes the letter from me and says, M.Ch, what is it? So I said, Bhagavan, I have completed 4 years. And thank you, Swami, So he said, 4 years? Then he says, 40 years more. So for me, it was a revelation that I would be continuing to work for him 44 years total, and I was very happy because I said anything if I can work for 44 years, what more do I need, So these kind of things. Now, there's once we say that uh, so many, I mean, if I recollect, once in the Darshana he comes and he tells me, how is the hospital? So I tell, Bhagawan, your hospital. So before I can complete and go to the next, he says, your hospital? Say our hospital. So from that time, I never say anything. It's my hospital or our hospital, guided by Bhagawan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. So then that translates into a lot of things where you get that feeling that this is our hospital. Anyway, so then once we had done a very tough case, and the entire city waste team was called by Bhagawan. He wanted to reward us with some clothes, and so he wanted to show off his city waste team to the public. I felt like I'm the only female in that team, entire team. We are all called on the veranda, that veranda of the thing, and all the male colleagues are sitting in one side, and I am the only one sitting apart on the other side. Now he is going about and he is distributing clothes and he is laughing and joking with all of us. Suddenly he turns to me and then he says, who is your helper? So I thought he was asking that who helps me during surgeries, So I pointed out that I thought this is what I thought when he said, who is your helper? So I look at all my male colleagues, I point out to them and I say, Swami, these are the people who help me. So he just looked at me and he said, Donna Puta. He said, I am your helper. And what a revelation again for me that yes, it has been Bhagawan and Bhagawan and Bhagawan throughout who has been helping me to reach whatever stage in my life I am, and he is my helper. And I was happy also that he is my helper. Okay, so that these are the small things they keep on coming to you when you are sitting back and thinking of so many things. Like again, he had called once all the doctors for interview. Whitefield doctors were there, we were there. Then he looked at all of us. Then he looked at me and said, what do you think a surgeon should do when there's a problem? So I said, Swami, you should act. He said, exactly. You should not think, you should act. Whenever some emergency happens, for a surgeon, he should act. But if it is a medical person, he should think first. For a surgeon, like what? I would like to give an example. We have a case where the two major vessels are joined, so that what we call as a duct, so that duct, when we divide, sometimes the clamp, if it becomes loose, then there can be a lot of bleeding. That time, the surgeon can't sit and think, oh God, what has happened? His job is to act. He has to immediately go and reapply that clamp and then, suck away the blood and things. So the action is you have to act immediately and salvage the patient, Whereas, as against that, a medical person, if somebody comes in, say, let's put it as in a cardiac intensive care unit, let us put it as with snake poisoning, or snake poison is something like that, then you have to wonder, like, now where all it is affected, and you have to think and then act properly. Of course, depending upon the gravity of the situation, there also you have to act immediately and then think. But, so clearly define the role of a surgeon versus a medical person. Like, these are some small things, you keep on, they keep on occurring to you when you sit back and think. So, one's skills and knowledge and experience should be utilized for the service of others, Bhagawan would say. He would say there's no greater feeling than the feeling of joy and inspiration at the end of service. And as usual, as I said, I have to remind myself to remove the I, the feeling of doership. Because I feel I was not the only one needed to do this service in this place. If I wasn't there, somebody else would have done it. Swami's work would have been done nevertheless, regardless of us. Now, personally, the transformation was very significant. I feel it has connected me to his work and his mission in a way that is unique, I feel, to my spiritual journey. Now, I feel that we will all miss a golden opportunity if, we do not carry home some pearls of divine wisdom from Bhagawan Baba on healthcare. Swami has laid definite guidelines on that. Bhagawan gives a beautiful insight of what a doctor should be like. He said that love and compassion are the two most important ingredients that the patient looks for in a doctor. We must first win the confidence of the patient. He says if you are palpating the pulse of the patient and then if you do like this, the patient is going to collapse, This he beautifully done in one of the international conferences, in his speech. Bhagawan demonstrated this, and it's the whole auditorium was, filled with laughter because the way he did it, What he is trying to say is that you win the confidence of the patient, and you talk to the patient with love and compassion, as these cure the patients 50% more even before the medicines start acting. Give patients, he says, the injection of courage and encouragement just like calcium injections, he says. These are Swami's words. Treat the patient as a whole and not only the disease. Bhagavan says, you see the x-ray of the patient, and you see the pneumonia is there. Don't treat the pneumonia. Swami is saying, treat the pneumonic man. Treat the body, treat the mind, treat the spirit of the patient. Cure him in whole, toto. And then he says, treat the patient as your own kith and kin, and smilingly, and not with a castor oil face. Never with a castor oil. Then he said, free treatment should not be poor treatment. Now, as we can all see in this last more than 30 years, the hospital has only grown in different specialities, and it continues to offer solace to the suffering humanity. Within a few years of its construction, of the hospital coming into existence, it was the year 1994. Our hospital got ranked in the Architectural Digest. It's one of the top magazine for architecture, and our hospital was ranked as the top 50 hospitals of the developing world. It was for the first time that this happened, that a hospital worth from the developing countries was selected. The two architects, they were Paul Jones and Ken Nooks. They chose our hospital. They said there are two reasons to put our hospital in their list. He said that the first reason is the philosophy of the holy man, that the healthcare and education should be free for the entire mankind. They were so much impressed by this philosophy. The second reason they said is, there is always a form and there is always a function. And this institute of ours, Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Medical Sciences, is a perfect fusion of form and function that they had come across. What a tribute, to Bhagawan. He says they said the hospital's architecture by design, it embodied the symbolism and proportions of sacred traditions, he says, that are believed to engender a divine healing energy. This I very clearly remember when Bhagawan came once in in 2004, Bhagawan came to our hospital, So he was sitting in the dome, our central dome, and he kept on looking. There's a beautiful chandelier we have in the center of the dome. So Bhagawan kept on looking at that chandelier. So I got little worried that I hope the chandelier is very big, to clean it is a big uphill task, I said, oh God, are there cobwebs there? What is it? What is Bhagawan staring at, Then this thing, the reason why Bhagawan is staring up came to us. Within very few days, one yogi from the north came. As he was crossing the chandelier, he came to the central dome. As he was crossing, he just stood beneath that chandelier and he went into a trance. Practically for 20 minutes he was in a trance. And none of us had the guts to wake him up, shake him up and all that. So then when he came out of his trance, he said, do you understand? There is so much of vibrant healing energy in this place. It is there, cornered at the top. So Bhagawan was he was not charging the chandelier, he was charging the dome with divine healing energy. And I remember always all our OPD patients are told to go through this central dome. Then they will go to various OPDs. So indirectly Bhagawan is curing, then remaining thing you all do. He is already charging them with his healing powers. So this is very, very, and then a time came when he would say, the rest of the hospital is yours, dome is mine, he would say, So like that way. So these small things, they keep on coming to our mind, like then Bhagawan, Bhagawan he would bring so many visitors to the hospital. Then once he brought one team of people, and he had come to our IC. He kept on saying, you will not find any speck of dust or anything, and like that way he started telling them. Then he neared one patient, and that time only sister had drawn a blood sample, and little drops of blood had fallen on the bedsheet. Can you believe, Bhagawan? He kept on talking. He went to that near the bedsheet and he tucked it in, so that nobody will know. Others will say, Bhagawan is talking, but see, here only one living example, all blood is fallen there. It was not too much blood, but even that much of thing, Bhagawan did not want to reveal. Means he wants to show that his people are so great, they are taking care of everything. Means indirectly, he was trying to take care of us also. If suppose we had missed out on what he was trying to tell about cleanliness and all, he went quietly and did off that thing, and we all noticed that, and we were all feeling so bad. But certain things happen in our field. We would have cleaned it later on, but so like this way, small things keep on occurring to our mind when we think of Bhagawan's multiple visits. He would go around and he will, if some patient is sleeping, don't wake him up. We would want that patient should see Bhagawan, no? He will miss the opportunity to see Bhagawan. He says, no, patient is sleeping, don't wake him up. Means his concern and his this thing is so beyond our this thing, So this kind of things are like, the hospital is like, how we say, unlike the other hospitals, it's open to all the citizens. This hospital is so unique. It's open to all the citizens of the world, irrespective of caste, nationality, creed, language, financial status. Nobody has to come and show they have to. As we all know, there is a lack of billing department in this hospital, right? So then when leading specialists, they come from all over the world. There are a lot of visiting surgeons who come from abroad. They come and they volunteer to donate their services, and they complement the hospital's highly competent team of doctors in all the departments. Now, what to say of the magnitude of work which is done in our institute? In my department alone, it is unparalleled. If you go to see in the history of the healthcare of the world, it has given relief to more than 29,000 patients. Because on an average, we are doing to 4 to 5 cases per day, and this averages to 1,000 to 1,200 cases in a year. This has been happening continuously past like 29 years. Now I have been witness to the growth of my department under the benevolent guidance of Bhagawan. So I joined as a senior resident of the department and have gone to become head of the department since the year 2000. The entire spectrum of cardiac surgery is performed here, and the visiting surgeons from India and abroad are astonished to see the variety of cases they witness when they make a round in my ICU. On the first bed will be one 5-year-old, who has undergone some open heart surgery, and the last bed will be one 60-70-year-old who has undergone bypass surgery, and interspersed between the first and the last bed are congenital cases, valve cases. So these kind of variety they don't see. In the outside world, either it's purely congenital or it's purely adult. So this kind of variety and mixture of cases they have not seen. So they are very happy to see all this variety. Now, apart from the variety of things, they cannot believe in the infrastructure and the state of the art equipment they get to see, which is comparable to the best in the world. The monitors, ventilators, the ICU beds, syringe pumps, you name it in the ICU, and all the latest gadgets in the operation theatre. Truly, for Bhagawan, free treatment is not poor treatment. So, our patients also, if you see, be it children or old alike, they come smilingly and they go home smilingly, If you see, you have to just take one walk across. The ambience in the surroundings is so clean and pure that the vibrations heal our patients faster than the actual treatment. The founding pillars of our hospital is based on it's universal, it is free, it is comprehensive, it is preventive, and treatment is offered with love and compassion. Truly, none but only Bhagawan could duplicate the same hospital to the humanity when he started another of its kind in Bangalore area a decade later. I'm sure this hospital has quietened the naysayers. There were naysayers who would say, will this hospital run? He started, but let us see whether it runs. So this hospital has quietened the naysayers by its commitment to standard of quality care being delivered completely free. All the departments are equipped with ultra modern facilities equal to any advanced hospital in the world. This is the divine paradox. It is modern and sophisticated, and it is free. Yet it is free. So what you cannot, Bhagavan used to say, what you cannot offer your mother, father, brother, sister, do not offer to a poor person. Bhagavan told us to have the same standard for the poor and the rich, and not to offer inferior treatment. Offer service as if you are offering a rose to God, and not a penny to a beggar. So profound, no, the statement. Give it with love and compassion. Do it with humility and vision of God inside them. This has continued post physical departure of Bhagavan, and it will continue to do so for the next 1,000 years to come, as predicted by Bhagavan. Bhagavan, when this hospital was founded, Bhagavan in one of his speeches said, this hospital will continue for 1,000 years to come. So you can imagine the gravity of the statement. It's difficult to comprehend for people like us. So, Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Medical Sciences aims to provide free medical care to the sick and ailing with dedication, commitment, love, and the best of skills and the best of infrastructure with state-of-the-art equipments, so that they'll be cured in body, mind, and spirit. This is the three-dimensional healthcare of Bhagavan. It's a blessing and a grace of Sathya Sai to be given an opportunity to work at this temple of healing, my hospital. Now, when the heart is filled with compassion, the hands are dedicated to the service of others, and the body is engaged in constant help to others, the life of such a person is sacred, purposeful, and noble, revealed by Bhagavan in Sanatan Sarthi. Now, I would just want to end by saying that never again will be born such a loving and paripurna avatar who spent his entire life showering his selfless love and compassion on the masses. And I'm very glad that I'm a part of this medical healthcare journey of Bhagavan, medical healthcare mission. And I thank Bhagavan. I feel my life has got sanctified. Thanks again to Bhagavan. I once again thank the organizers of giving me this golden opportunity to recollect my momentous journey with Bhagavan. Om Shri Sai Ram.
Om Shri Sai Ram. Thank you, Dr. Neelam Desai, for sharing the beautiful experiences and your journey working in Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Medical Sciences, Prasanthigram. Your belief that Bhagavan as mentor, friend, philosopher, and guide. A simple example that when one is lying down, must first learn to sit, get up to walk, and then run. Similarly, to accomplish anything in life, one has to take time, and there is a defined process for it. One cannot comprehend Bhagavan but see his very manifestation through various activities performed. Swami is slowly teaching you to do away from doership and to be an instrument. The power of Vibhuti with your mother recovering from fractured leg, Bhagwan's insight on what doctors should be like, love and compassion being the two ingredients the patient looks for doctor. Give patient courage and encouragement. Treat patient whole, not the disease. Means treat the body, mind and spirit of the patient. A great revelation by Bhagwan, charging dome with divine healing energy. Your inspiration talk has immersed us in Swami's love. On behalf of all of us here and all listeners, I would like to extend once again my sincere thanks to Dr. Neelam Desai. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank the entire Samarpan organizing team for providing this platform for all the devotees of Bhagwan and sharing their most cherished memorable moment with all of us. We conclude today's event with Aarti. Jai Sai Ram.